hello, if you're watching this on the replay. Cheers. I have a cup of tea. Welcome to the second of Mindfulness Mondays, which I'm really excited about. One of my plans was to make sure this was out there. So yeah, if you're watching this on the replay, then thank you. Thank you for coming along and watching this at a later stage. Should be roughly around 10 minutes. Might be a little bit longer, but we'll see. Might be a little bit shorter as well. But I've got a cup of tea, so we're all good. So good afternoon. This is episode 2 of Mindfulness Mondays. And I've got on my board over here, I've got some ideas of the stuff which I wanted to kind of talk about. And one of the things which popped up for me was a model which came from a guy called Professor Paul Gilbert. And I picked this up as part of my studies last summer when in May I did a mindfulness for stress course. Something I wish I'd come across a long, long time ago. And I did this mindfulness for stress course for a couple of reasons. One is that I was interested in it and it was something which I was using and I wanted to deepen my own practice. But also I wanted to look at using it more in the coaching and more in the work I do with other people. And I even had a conversation about teaching it, which is interesting then because instead of going back to the organisation I do, which is Breathworks, great organisation, well worth checking out, I then signed up to do an MSc, which actually as part of the whole process actually has a teaching component to it. And we're going through a mindfulness-based course at the moment, which is quite cool. But this was something which we haven't touched on the MSc yet, but this is something which I touched on as part of the Breathworks 8 Weeks Mindfulness for Stress course. And I'm just going to share my screen here and just show you this diagram. Now, I realized after I'd kind of put it together, and these are the colors which they do within the Mindfulness for Stress book, which is somewhere on my shelf over here. I've realized I have 2 boys who are red-green color deficient. And if I said, oh, look at the green circle, they go, which one's that? So I apologize if color deficiency is something which you have. I'll refer to them in terms of position on the screen. But this is a relatively simple 3-circle model. And what it depicts as an overall thing is that each of these circles has a different function or a different focus. And with that function and focus comes different feelings, different desires, different wants, and different chemicals. And that, for me, is the really interesting thing. Now, as a practitioner of mindfulness, as somebody who's studying mindfulness in more detail and still early in my studies, but still focusing on it, I'm really interested in this kind of stuff and I get very, very geeked out. And of course, the top right corner, the one which is green on the screen, contentment. Isn't that where we all want to be all the time? Contented, here, non-wanting, connection focused. That just sounds beautiful, doesn't it? Safeness, kindness, soothing. Who wouldn't want to be there all the time? Who would want to spend time there all of the time? Contentment is just a lovely place to be. If we look at the left-hand side, the top left, drive, the blue circle, resource-focused, wanting, pursuing, achieving, consuming. Kind of makes sense. I think a lot of us are that way inclined. And then the interesting one for me as well is the bottom one, the red circle, the one right in the middle on the bottom. Self-protection, flight, fight, freeze. Threat focus, safety seeking. I'm sure if you take a moment, you can identify with each of those circles. You can look at those circles and you can go, yeah, I know what contentment feels like for me. I know what drive feels like for me. I know what self-protection feels like to me. And if we look at, you can spend a moment, if you're watching this on the replay, pause it. Obviously on the live, you won't be able to do that. But you spend a moment just thinking, when did I last feel contentment? When did I last feel that non-wanting, that connection, that safeness, that kindness, that soothing? When did you feel that, I suppose, that chilled? When did you feel that drive? When did you feel that, wanting, pursuing, achieving, and consuming? When did you feel that need to kind of have that going on? I mean, if we go to the contentment one quickly, the contentment one for me is spending time, nature, with people I love, meditating, mindful, on a bike, in the gym. Those are the things which they give me that kind of connection. Hugging my kids, that's where I get my green circle stuff from. The drive. Where do you feel drive? How many of you have got one of these? How many of you are watching this now on one of these? How many of you have notifications on? How many of you post on social media and go, does anyone like my post yet? Has anyone kind of engaged with my stuff? Has anyone got interested in what I'm talking about? I'm well aware. I'm on a StreamYard thing here. I can see how many people are currently live. I can see whether there's interaction and engagement. And yeah, that little bit of me, the drive bit of me, would love interaction and engagement. I want people to tell me how good I am. That's that drive thing. But what about that self-protection at the bottom? What about that red circle? We've all been through the most interesting 2 years, and I use the word interesting with intent. How many of you have felt that fear, that threat, that need to find safety, that need to escape, that need to be somewhere else? Messages coming from the media, messages coming from the government, messages coming from the health service, messages, coming from friends and colleagues, people crossing the road from each other because, well, you might catch something if you're even, within 2 spaces. How many people get that feeling of being under threat? So you can all, I'm sure, identify. You can identify with these circles at different points. Each one of them has a chemical or a set of chemicals associated with it as well. Self-protection, flight, fight, freeze, adrenaline, cortisol. Cortisol gets a lot of press at the moment about, cortisol being the stress hormone and things to try and reduce your cortisol and how cortisol affects you and the effects it has on other body systems. Drive, dopamine. Oh, I've got a notification. Check my phone. 2 minutes later, have I got a notification? 2 minutes later, we go back because when we get people liking our stuff, we get that hit of dopamine. The ping of your phone, the ping of your email, maybe the knock at the door, the doorbell going. It's that feeling of being loved and being wanted, and we seek out that dopamine on a regular basis. The green, oxytocin, endorphins, the chemicals which come out when we're content and when we're happy. And all of those chemicals have their own kind of addictive nature to themselves. And if you read any of the stuff out there, you know that lots of cortisol is bad for you. If dopamine is something which drives us to do more things and to want people to love us more. And oxytocin, oxytocin is just, who doesn't want more of oxytocin? I certainly want more oxytocin. When I first looked at this, I kind of went, where do I want to spend my time? I want to spend my time in the green circle. I want to be there all the time because that just seems absolutely fantastic. But that's a dangerous place to be. If you spend all of your time in that contentment phase, you kind of get lost. And a friend of mine, Steve, who's an amazing mind fixer, he asked me ages ago, we were talking about meditation. He said, what about the dark side of meditation? And there are dark sides of meditation. There's really interesting literature, which I've been looking at. And of course, I don't want to believe that there's any dark sides to meditation or mindfulness or any of this stuff, because that kind of goes against that feeling that I think it's brilliant. But there is a dark side to it. Dark side of staying in that contentment zone, no drive, no desire to get up and do anything. You just want to withdraw from the world. So spending all your time there is not good. Spending all the time in that drive section going, has anyone messaged me? Has anyone liked my stuff? Has anyone engaged with me? Does everyone love me? It's great to be there for a bit, but it's not good to be there all the time. And that self-protection place, that cortisol and adrenaline, if you're running cortisol and adrenaline all the time, if you've ever been in that situation where you're scared and you're fearful and your adrenaline goes up, you really burn through your adrenaline, what do you get at the end? You get this dip at the end and you feel tired and you feel exhausted. So for me, I looked at this and went, I want to spend all my time in contentment, but actually that isn't good. Going into drive, I need to go into drive at certain points. I need to be in a place of stress at certain points, and I need to be in a place of contentment. The key thing for me is understanding when I need to be in those states and when I need to be in those places. and when I'm either too much or too little in each of them. It's recognizing when my stress levels are up, when I'm too much in the red, and it's pulling myself back out of it. It's recognizing when I'm too much in that space of looking for the love and the dopamine hit from the outside world. And then it's knowing when I'm too withdrawn from the world and I'm not engaging with it. And I'd love to tell you that there's a really easy way to do that. But I don't think there is. I think it comes with practice and it comes with time. And quite often it comes when you've made the mistake. We change our ways when we've been burnt out, when we change our ways with access to mobile phones and dopamine when we're getting notifications all the time and we find that it's not doing us any good. It comes with practice and experience. My invitation, there's always an invitation when I do these lives, is have a look at this model. If you want to pause it, take a screenshot, you want me to send you a copy of it, it's just done on Canva as a PDF, more than happy to do that. But spend some time being aware of these different states and how they affect you. Be aware of when you're in that red zone, when you're feeling your cortisol and your adrenaline. Be aware when you're in the dopamine zone and you're looking outwardly for too much of that dopamine hit. And be aware when you're in the green zone and whether that's good for you to be in there a lot or not. And just make note of that and see how you feel. Just spend some time just almost acknowledging that place and acknowledging how you feel. And I'd love to know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Let me, if they are below on this, they might be below, they might be above. I'd love to know what you think. I'd love to know what you think of this model. If you think it's good, brilliant. If you think it's not so good, brilliant. Come back and have a conversation with me. But my invitation for you is just to be aware, be mindful. After all, it is Mindfulness Monday, to be aware of when you're in these different spaces. And you will have a need to be in these different places for different amounts of times compared to different people. And that's why I use this model with my clients. I can't turn around and say to them, you must be in the green all the time. That might not suit them. It might not be good for them. So that's my invitation for you to have a look at those things. One of the interesting things, and when I was looking at talking about this today, I found an article. I've got lots of articles around at the moment. There's tons down here. It's going back to my MSc study days, which when I look at all these articles, I think, why did I go back and do that? But this is a great article from 2017 by Pascoe et al. And this is really interesting because one of the things they did as part of this study is they looked at the effects of mindfulness and meditation. But they didn't look at the effects of mindfulness and meditation where someone turned around and said, yeah, I feel better. They actually looked at measurable things: blood pressure, cortisol levels, tissue necrosis factor alpha, triglycerides, heart rate. They looked at all these things. And one of the key things they found with mindfulness and meditation is that there was some very good evidence for it actually reducing cortisol levels. And I just thought that was great. It was nice to actually look at a study and go, yeah, we've actually got some good evidence that this shit does work. So I'm going to leave you now. Hope that was as useful to you. Hope there's something in there which you can make use of. Hope there's something in there which you can pick up on and you can take on. I can't get my English out now. Can't get my English out now. You tell it's alive. It just all goes all over the place. But if you've got any questions about this, if you want to have a conversation with me, if there's something in here where you go, yeah, I reckon Dave could help, you know where I am. Come and find me. Drop me a DM, email, hello@davethecoach.co.uk. There's davethecoach.co.uk website. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram. Come and find me and let's have a conversation. Thanks for listening. Good to see you.